Hi, Smriti.
Hi Apurva, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So a quick introduction to Smriti. Smriti started her career in technology. So she spent 14 years in IT, software services, and after that she decided to quit her role at the IT firm that she was working at and start a flower delivery service, which has turned into what's now called Florista. And Florista has a presence in 300 cities across India. You've also expanded internationally. You're servicing different countries abroad. And along the journey, you've done some incredible work and you've never looked back. Um, it's a real pleasure to have you. You know, for those who don't know about Florista, you could see it at the airport, at Mumbai airport. You could see it, you know, in different locations across Mumbai as well. So it's a real pleasure, Smriti, to have you join us on the Basis community and to talk about, you know, Florista and your journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. Glad to be
Uh,
here.
Thank you. So we're going to start with talking about, you know, Florista and really, but backtracking a little bit, you know, you started your career in technology, in IT services, and you spent 14 years in that domain before you decided, hey, I want to switch and start something of my own, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I studied electrical engineering, but I think I wasted a seat out there because that it really didn't interest me, after that. And I found software development very interesting, and I pursued that, studied that for about a year, and realized that this is the career that I want, and this is where I need to be. And I loved development. I've written lines and lines of code, and I never expected to, get into something like this ever. But well, fate had something else planned for me. So, yeah. And 14 years in development, what I've realized is across the IT career and Florista, I've realized that, failures and successes are like part of life, and, you really have to accept failures and, move on and never really get too carried away by successes. And I've had my share of both and still having my share of both in both the, spaces that I've been in. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're, first of all, you know, props to you. You're a woman in engineering. You know, you studied engineering, you were in engineering, and then you decided to switch and completely take up a domain in which you had absolutely no experience, right?
True,
So
true.
what really sparked the idea for Florista, and what convinced you that it's worth your while to quit your comfortable, you know, sort of position that you were in at that firm and decide I'm going to take the entrepreneurial plunge?
Yeah. Well, my husband Samir and I, both of us were sitting in a coffee shop one day, and we decided that it's time to do something different. Well, just to give you a brief background, Samir owns an advertising agency, and that's his first love. And I was into software development, and life was going on pretty smooth. And suddenly thought that, we need to kind of shake up our lives and, try to see if we can, work on something totally different. And we narrowed down on flower delivery, particularly because it was such an unorganized sector at that point of time. And we've seen, urchins delivering beautiful flowers. And we saw that we could really add a lot of value in a business like this. And that was the thought behind starting Florista. So we started as a proof of concept. We wanted to experiment it, before we actually, started the company. And in 2003, we, just started with 2 employees. At that point of time, I was still working, and Samir still, he still has his, had his advertising agency, and we started it in his, in one of the, spaces in his agency, and that's how small it was. Yeah, so we experimented with it for about 6 months, and we realized that okay, it's time to go retail, and let's look at how people accept something like this in a category which is so highly unorganized, and that's when we moved retail in 2004.
Right. So you started from a small corner in your husband's office, right?
Yes,
And now
yes.
you've expanded
Yep.
nationally as well as internationally, right?
Yep.
Now, along the way, so talk to us a little bit about, you know, uh, and this was quite a while ago, right? You
Yep.
thought that let me start looking at taking orders online for flowers, right? So that was an untapped category, number one, and setting up an online business back in the day, right? So what were some challenges around that?
So to be honest, really did not start online. Like I mentioned to you, this was like a part-time business that was started, and we experimented with retail. We didn't have an online presence at that point of time. So in 2004, we actually had a store in Phoenix Mills, which was one of the early malls in the city, in Mumbai city, and we ensured that the communication was right, the product was looked great, the branding was perfect, and when people came into the mall, they saw this beautiful store with lovely flowers and arrangement, and everything was so perfect. They actually was wondering whether is this a global brand that's come into this to this mall, and that gave us a lot of confidence in saying that, okay, I think people we've done it right so far. But what we didn't realize is for the next what happened 3 years down the line was we were not ready to manage the volumes that came with it. So and we realized that no business can be run as part-time. You need to be 100% involved in any business that you start, and that's the reason why. And at that point of time, like I said, I was still working. I was not completely looking into this to the business, and nor was Samir. And we realized that in 3 years, the kind of customers that came into our stores, and they were so excited to see something like this, and it just grew. And we also realized that once they were comfortable and they trusted you, they didn't want to come back to the store. They just called you and placed orders. So we started receiving orders over the phone, and and then we were not able to cater to people booking orders on the phone and people walking in. And how much of manpower are you going to recruit for something like this? And if somebody's not walking to the store, you understand that we're not able to take payments from these customers. So we had to run behind them for payments. And that is what really, really triggered a huge loss, in the business. For about almost a year, we were not able to recover payments. So these were small ticket size, but, large volumes. And they came to a point where, we were wondering whether, should we shut it or somebody needs to look at it full time. And that was the trigger, basically, where I said, this is the time that, we need to take a decision. It was like an overnight decision for me. I wrote a mail to my chairman saying that, I need to move on and I'm not able to continue. And I realized that systems and processes need to be there in place, to manage data, to manage people. And that was the trigger. So I kind of switched and moved into Florista full time. This was in 2007.
So very, very interesting. So you started Florista as a side hustle, basically.
Yes,
and
yes.
there came a point where it required that attention and you decided, okay, I need to just quit and focus on it full time.
True. Yes, that's right.
So, what were some changes that you brought to Florista, both in terms of business or in terms of transformation? How did you help it grow? And what changes did you see both within the team, within numbers?
Well, the minute I switched, we tried to figure out what is it that went wrong, what were we not able to do? And we made a list of things that did not work. One was we realized that taking orders over the phone, customers needed something convenient, to place orders. And also the data, it was written in a manual register or in just Excel sheets. We realized that there need to be a software that need to be developed to manage these orders, to manage the volumes. So that was the first thing that I did. Moved into a smaller space, created a small call center where a team was only catering to orders over the phone and for corporate orders and orders over email. And the store space was then left to manage the walk-in customers. So that was a clear differentiator, the clear demarcation. And once we had that little call center, that became like a hub, and we could manage multiple stores using this one particular call center. So people who wanted to place orders over the phone or email had a convenient way of doing it, and people who wanted to walk in had the space to do it. So that worked very well, and we realized that this is how we could actually grow using a hub and a spoke model. And besides developing the software, we also realized the requirement to have, a presence online. And we started the website, florista.in, which was convenient for customers to place orders at that point of time. And the second problem that we realized was the payment, collecting payment. So we realized that, if people could have an easy method of paying, we should have, a space for them to pay online. So these are the changes that we brought about. And this helped us manage volumes and help us really, really grow.
Very, very cool. So now you're at a point, obviously through the journey of Florista, you catered to a very wide audience. And you've interestingly seen, consumption patterns across India evolve, right? Obviously you're seeing, most of your business would probably have come on specific occasion dates,
Yes.
such as Valentine's Day, or such as, based around holidays or birthdays or anniversaries. But what insight does this give you about India and its buying power and buying potential?
Yeah, so we've seen it changing over the years. Like, we started in 2004 and today we're sitting in 2020. There were a lot of non-gifters of flowers who are now moved to gifting flowers, because one is people realize that gifting flowers creates a completely different, it's a completely different expression. You actually feel, we feel the warmth of the person when you receive flowers. It's a totally different feeling than when you receive certain gifts with, which has a value attached to it. So that's where we've seen a kind of change. We've also seen the impulse purchase. Now, one of our early stores was in one of the malls in Bombay. It was in Orbit Mall. We never expected people to go to the mall to buy flowers. But when you have free flowers, out there, even in the airport, when you have, flowers at the airport in the arrival section, you really want to go and pick up a flower and give it to somebody, or you want to take it home. So we've seen a lot of impulse purchase happening in the category like this. Besides that, you mentioned special days. Yes, these special days does boost up volumes, and days like Valentine's Day is completely, it's all over the place, and we've sold flowers even from the dustbin on a particular Valentine's Day. It's that crazy because people just crazy. But apart from Valentine's Day, there's Mother's Day, which is really, really picked up, and we are very emotional people, Indians, and gifting flowers to moms is going to be as big as Valentine's Day now. And then you have the rest of the days like Father's Day, and you have all these special days which are boosting. You have Boss's Day, you have Doctor's Day, you have the works, and these are about 8 to 9 special days in the year. But apart from that, we've also seen corporate houses using flowers as the medium to have employee engagement and client engagement and maintaining relationship with their clients, which was a category that we learned very early on, since we were based in a very commercial space, and we had people from HR department coming in from companies and asking us if we were able to give flowers for new joinees. Can we place flowers on their desk when they come in? And, so these are categories that we had not expected at that point of time. And we realized that, yes, so there is a space out there. There are volumes coming in from there as well. So you really don't need a special day for your volumes. You can get your volumes from, reaching out to corporate houses who have a large number of employees that they need to recruit and, engage with, or clients for that matter.
Very interesting. So, what you addressed was, how can I make my business sustainable over time and not just rely on specific days? And how can I be creative about these business solutions? So now I want to switch to a different topic, right? We've talked about Florista and its growth, but now the pandemic has hit and growth has sort of, just come to a complete halt. What are you seeing happening in the business, and how do you see this space evolving, over the next 2 years, obviously this sort of short term and over time?
Yeah, well, slowing down of growth is not something that, that's happened to us now. Okay, we faced this issue even in the past, and we've overcome it, and we've kind of moved on. And so, I mean, every time you touch this kind of a situation, in your work life or personal life, you got to kind of just sit back and, make a mental note about, how exactly are you going to solve this? Now, the good part here is everybody's going through it. Okay, so you're not alone here, and you can actually see it. So that's the good part. And secondly, it's important that, how we've done it is, we've reached out to all our stakeholders, all our customers, just to make sure that, is there continuity in this business? That's the first thing that you need to kind of, figure and worry about. So the first 2 weeks of the lockdown, it was very difficult to figure out. And I really thought that, okay, this is the end. And now no more. I mean, who's going to be looking at buying flowers or selling, or gifting flowers, when you're in a situation like this, because everybody are into cost cutting, everybody are wondering what's going to happen. But then I realized that, that need not be the case, when we reached out to a few customers, they were like, we would like to continue, but we'd probably scale down. So we realized that, okay, so there is definitely a requirement going to be there, but it would be scaled down. How much funds do we have available, to continue, for a period of time? We needed to talk to people. We needed to figure out, how are we going to get through this? And I think we're very fortunate that since everybody knows, your employee knows, your clients know, your suppliers know, that it's not going to be the same. And you get support. I mean, you get support from everybody, and it's amazing, and it's quite exhilarating that the kind of support we have received, and we are quite excited. Although the lockdown is not lifted here in Mumbai, but post lockdown, how we're going to manage and how we're going to move on, I think we have a good plan in place. So we are really definitely not, depressed about this.
Great. So business has slowed down, but it's not deterred you at all for what comes next.
It's not slowed down, Apurva. It is stopped. There is no business right now.
Oh my gosh.
So there's no business right now. So but we're confident of kind of restarting. So there are trickling. So we're doing all that it takes to help our clients. For example, just yesterday I received a frantic call saying that it's my father's birthday. Is it possible that Florista delivers an arrangement, floral arrangement? So we had to kind of figure out and see. So there are flowers, very, very trickling flowers coming into to our distributors right now. So we had to make few calls, figure out and see, is there a delivery partner? Are they taking care? How safe are they? And then fortunately we were able to service this particular client, but there is really no business right now.
Yeah. It like you said, everybody's in the same situation, and we're all going to figure it out, once the lockdown is so, even, in the short term. But, it's great that, at least you have continuity plans in place, and you're looking at, and you have that time to step back and evaluate that.
Yes.
Something else that I want to touch is, you started Florista, and before you started Florista, obviously you had a career in IT services, and you were a full-time parent while also being a full-time professional and then becoming a full-time entrepreneur, right? Now balancing that act and balancing, having work-life integration is very difficult. So how did you manage that?
I think we all go through this balancing act, and each one, does it very differently. What I did and what worked for me was, involving the family into whatever that you're doing. So whether I was in, IT or whether in Florista, I used to involve my family in everything that went on, during the day. So the day's issues or successes or anything related to the organization was a sharing that I would do to even, my children who are like really, really small at that point of time. And so that kind of really worked, because the support that you get, from your family, even if you're spending long hours out, sometimes, if we were doing a decor for an event, I would spend, almost the entire night out and would come home in the morning. But there was really there was not a single day where, somebody felt that, I was not looking at, or taking up my responsibility at home, ever. So I think involving your family is very, very crucial in whatever you do.
Right. That's a really good piece of advice for all the women that are listening in, right? A lot of women on our community, on our platform, have aspirations of being, of growing in their professional careers or even starting their companies. And perhaps just having that family support makes that much of a difference.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and Purva, it's very easy to do it. Basically, I mean, you have online, you have the telephone. You just need to keep connected. So, I would call up my children once they were back from school to just take in whatever happened in their school at that point of time. I wouldn't wait till the end of the day to go back and figure out what's happened to them. So I would really know. I'd be tuned into what is happening at home as well, and you can take those breaks even in your work life, in your workspace as well. So it's just a matter of managing it.
Yeah. So if you have the right circle of support, definitely you can easily sail through.
That's true.
Smithy, I'm just going to look at a couple of the comments that have come in, and a lot of people have said, some wonderful things. I'm just going to, take some time to scroll through and read one to you. So the Beach Company India said, Smriti, your story has always been inspirational. What suggestions do you have for first-time entrepreneurs in the online space? Can you give us a tip or two?
Yeah. So, for first-time entrepreneurs in an online space, it all depends on, what kind of product are you putting out there online. I think you should really understand that's the core. So, advice is, you need to figure out who are the competitors in your space. And I think collaboration is really, really important if you're getting into something online right now. You need to get your products and services, seen everywhere possible. So don't just be very closed in saying that this is my website and this is where I'm going to be. I think you should just look at where all you can actually collaborate and be seen. So visibility is the key. So that's the advice that I would give.
Great. So Beach Company India, if you're looking to start your own online product
Beach
services.
Company is an established website. They're one of the largest, largest site where they sell beachwear in India. And
I'm guessing they're looking to roll out a new product line, which is why they're asking you this question. Yeah. And Just Deliveries, so Mansi Mansaria of Just Deliveries is asking, how do you see the near future for flowers? What are the challenges and upsides?
Well, near future for flowers, Mansi, I'm very, very confident that since everything is moving online, everybody would be expecting deliveries at home. And I don't see a dip. In fact, I see there could be a surge because you will find less of people meeting for events and special occasions. So, to kind of cover up that, I'm sure people would move to gifting, something like flowers. When you can't reach a place for an event and you want to, you want to gift something, this is something that people would move to. Besides that, for corporate houses, I'm sure you must be knowing that TCS has announced a 25-25 model where they're saying that only 25% of the workforce is going to be coming to work and the rest of them are going to be working out of home. So how does these companies keep their employees engaged? How do they give them a great place to work? Because there's no great place to work. There's no place. They're working out of homes. So they need to have employee loyalty. They need to keep engaged with their employees. And, they would not only, gifting flowers for employees' birthdays, which is there. Now they would, probably have to gift flowers for their spouses and their children and move homebound, And that's how, that's where the bond is created. That's where somebody can get emotionally connected to an organization. So that is where I see a surge coming in. And same goes for client gifting as well.
Smriti, your comment just made me realize, I believe the CEO of Basis, Henna Mehta, is actually listening in. So Henna, if you're listening to Smriti, please send a flower to all of us in the team. And by the way, my birthday is coming up next month. So
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And lastly, Smriti, what I wanted to touch on, because we have just a few more minutes left to go, I wanted to touch upon the problem of financial independence for women. So when you started Florista, obviously you had enough of a kitty saved up to be able to say, hey, I can take this, I can start something on the side and see where this goes, right? Now, obviously, over time you've built up a kitty for yourself, but you've also made mistakes like everybody does in their investment journey. Is there something that you can share that all of us in the basic community can take away?
Yeah, so the kitty is never enough. You have an X amount of kitty, but the kitty would never be enough if you're venturing into a business, because as and when you grow, you innovate, and you realize that you need to keep on investing. You invest in people, you invest in technology, you invest in growth, you invest in innovation. So the money is really never enough, but it's important to keep aside some bit of money. If you decide that, okay, I'm going to budget an X amount, you need to keep aside some bit of money to make sure that, you can stay for some bit, during a rainy day. And that is what, so I've definitely made mistakes, and grave mistakes basically in the past, not looking into agreements clearly, getting excited by opportunities, and all these things really, tempt you to extract from that kitty which you've kept aside. And I think that is where you need to kind of devise a kind of self-control when it comes to that. So that is the most important part.
So in terms of mistakes, right? Like you mentioned, not reading agreements or getting too excited by opportunities, right? Yeah. How can somebody who is just starting out on their journey, what tools, what resources can they leverage to educate themselves?
So, it's very nice that at this time and age, when somebody's starting up, you have access to a lot of resources, a lot of people, mentors that you can reach out to. And there's so many people ready to help. You can be part of networks. At that point of time, there were not many. And there were a lot of inhibitions, to reach out, how can I go and ask? So what I've realized is it's okay to ask, and you have to reach out, and there's no problem that is too small or too big. Reaching out to the right people will always get you, give you some insights on how, what is the steps that you need to take, and how do you take, what kind of an approach do you need to take. So anything new that you're planning to do, anything new that you're planning to grow, it's very important to address it to a group, of people who've done it before. Could be competitors, could be like-minded people, other entrepreneurs, somebody who's not from your business, but that is very, very crucial. Yeah.
Got it. Great. So in terms of, I'm just looking at the comments, and of course some people have left comments, but some people have really enjoyed what you said, Smriti.
Most of them are my friends. I think whoever put nice comments are all my best friends.
That's great. Now your community is here to support you, and that's fantastic. That's exactly what we're looking at, building a larger community, but also encouraging women and encouraging each other to take that step and to take that plunge and to build a little more confidence. So in terms of takeaways from this conversation, is there anything else that you would like to add for our basis community or for your friends who have been reaching out? One of them has just said your story is such an inspiration to all the women out there.
Well, that's my daughter. So thank you, Teesta. Yeah. So you know what? I think I want to just tell everybody to keep the faith and to do what you want to do. And really not have any inhibitions in moving forward. And like I said, you have help. You have help all around you. You just have to look for it. So that is what I would like to.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know this, so Smriti has actually successfully raised funding and successfully done a share buyback as well. We haven't had time to delve into that. But that in itself is a massive, massive achievement. And to be, of course, doing that for a small, for Florista, and to be doing that as a woman, there's so many firsts there. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you, Apurva.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have today, Smithy. I just want to keep a check on time. But this has been a fantastic conversation. It will always feel short, like we're running out of time. No matter how many times I speak to you, I always find something to take away, and I wish our conversation could continue longer. But I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for speaking to the basic community as well. It's been a real inspiration talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be part of this. See you, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Thanks, Malvika, Harshad, Neelam, Teesta Bridge.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone.
Yeah, you too. Bye. Bye.